So happy Father's Day to all of the men here. I'm glad you chose to spend it here with the rest of us. So I want to share with you kind of a working definition of emotional wisdom, and then weave it with story and experiences that help us, maybe wake up even a little bit here today. So the Buddha talks about three wisdoms. He talks about conceptual wisdom, which is when we read something and it resonates with us, and we kind of understand it conceptually. Another level of wisdom that he talks about is reflective wisdom, which has to do with us taking the concept and then reflecting on our lives to see, how this connects with something we may have experienced in our lives. And then there is meditative wisdom, or the wisdom of bare attention, bare knowledge. The wisdom that you get when you sit, that oftentimes has no words, but it is totally connecting to what you know to be true. So I wrote this about emotional wisdom, and it came from my heart, and it's kind of working it at the conceptual level at this point. So here's what I wrote about. Emotional wisdom is the mental development of heart and mind. It's a quality of awareness, a presence that allows us to reflect on our lives lovingly and to leverage that knowledge to connect in ways that touch, shape, and heal the global human heart. One measure of emotional wisdom is in how consistently we manage ourselves when we are suffering. For example, we become attached to a story we have about what's right and what's wrong, so much so that we don't realize that this constriction causes suffering. Our righteousness often distracts us from experiencing our suffering and exercising the authority we have to transform it. Suffering is often fed through our inattention and unawareness. To become emotionally wise is to be more curious than critical about the nature of our disturbances through an examination of our habits, history, and heritage. By exploring our feelings, behaviors, and expectations, we discover that we don't have to hold on to our stories to learn from them. The idea is to turn toward what is difficult without attachment, aversion, and denial, and understand our part in both creating suffering and relieving it. So you can imagine then, here I am on a month-long retreat. I'm almost too embarrassed to tell you how recent it was. And so I'm in like the third week, and my heart is opening, and I'm feeling very tender. And every day, when you go in for meditation, you take off your shoes and your coat and you hang it up, and so I had my hat, and I had kind of identified this spot. I would hold my hat there so that the space was kind of reserved for me, so that when I came back, I could just dash in and then go sit, and So one day I'm running to the meditation hall. Imagine that, running to your meditation class. I'm getting there, and I walk into the room to take off my coat and put it in my space. And somebody had moved my hat and put it up on the top shelf that I couldn't even reach, and had put their coat there. And I had one of the strongest reactions that you could imagine. I was so pissed off. I was ready to, I forgot where I was. Every meditative tool I'd ever learned in my life just went south. all of a sudden I plummet into my story about some white man, a tall, bald-headed guy who put my hat up there. Who else could it be? Who else would do something like that to a black woman, to a lesbian? Before I knew it, I was just all in the trail of, you know. So then, that wasn't it. Then I went into thinking about, oh yeah, I'll just wait out here to see who had the audacity of this. Yeah, oh no, maybe what I'll do is just take his coat, stomp on it, leave it in the middle of the ground, and climb up on a chair, get my hat, and put it back in its rightful place, right? Meanwhile, the bell rang, so it's time to go into meditation, and I'm still out in the hall plotting a strategy of revenge.